For many students, it is the oral part of the exam that they fear the most. I believe this is so for several reasons. First of all, students are aware of the gaps in the knowledge, and they are afraid that they will either make a lot of mistakes or forget a word in the middle of a conversation. Also, it is the lack of preparation time. While working on the written paper of the exam, students have time to stop, to think, to recall a word or a phrase. There is no such opportunity in an oral exam. The whole event is much more spontaneous. And finally, personality traits. A lot of teenagers are simply shy and feel a great deal of inhibition at the mere thought of facing an examiner. As you can see, there is actually very little, if anything, that we can do about this. I mean, we can't change the format of the exam, we can't really influence or change our students' personalities, and let's face it, there is always a possibility that a student, a candidate, will make a mistake or forget a word or a phrase in the middle of the exam. However, what we can do is to equip students with certain tools that will help them achieve the best possible result in an oral exam. Here are the tools. First of all, the right mindset. We need to do everything in our power to make sure that students feel at ease while speaking, or to make sure that they are used to a situation in which they have to say a few words in English. And there's no better way to do so than by speaking as much and as often as possible. That means that practicing speaking skills should happen much more often than during a speaking-based lesson, which usually happens once every unit. We need to grab all the teaching moments within any lesson, really, and engage students in the so-called micro-speaking activities. For example, when a reading lesson ends with a reflection task, that's your micro-speaking moment. Or when students have to discuss a topic as a pre-listening activity, that's yet another micro-speaking moment. I'm sure any course book offers plenty of opportunities like this. Take a look at the example on the screen. In the middle of a grammar lesson, there's a great micro-speaking teaching moment. By answering these questions in pairs, students are preparing for part 1 of the preliminary Cambridge exam, in which their task is to respond to examiner's questions, giving factual or personal information. Let's face it, while oral exams are spontaneous and unplanned, they are also somewhat predictable. What I mean is, certain types of tasks require certain words and phrases. Given our experience as exam course teachers and also as linguists in a way, we can predict what kind of language students will need to score high in each of the tasks. For example, in all of the activities, in all of the tasks that students talk to another candidate, they will need expressions for turn-taking. For example, shall I go first? Would you like to begin? What about you? What do you think about it? May I interrupt? I'd like to make a point here, and so on. Another example? To describe photographs, students need present tenses, especially present continuous to describe what is happening in the photograph. That's exactly what we can see in this sequence of activities. Students are explicitly told which structures and phrases to use. Knowing this, students can memorize these phrases and the teacher can train the students in picture description. One of the criteria in the speaking skills assessment is the range of vocabulary that a candidate uses. As a class, create a list of 15 to 20 vocabulary items per subject, such as food, sport or housing, which the students can learn by heart. The purpose of this is to equip the learners with ready-to-use words. Let me show you how it works on the basis of food and nutrition. I'm sure even a struggling B1 preliminary candidate will come up with words such as bread, salad, or meat. So the idea would be to create a list with more advanced vocabulary items such as loaf of bread, lettuce, or steak, all of which are at a B1 level. This will help the learners to upgrade their language during an oral exam. Such lists will also allow the students to feel more secure during the exam and hopefully score more points in lexical resource criterion. In this short video, I have presented some of the techniques that I find very useful in my own classroom. Feel free to try them out and perhaps your students will benefit from them as well. That's all for today. Stay tuned for episode 5.